My name is Tom, and I first want to start with maybe a simple one, and maybe known to all of you, but maybe not. What is ERP? ERP is an integrated software platform to manage and automate core business processes across different departments. And we see in the automation period that it's the top level. And ERP can communicate with underlying systems like MES systems that talk to the hardware, and underneath we have more systems all the way until the lowest level of sensor. And today we focus on ERP. But ERP can be a best of breed. So you combine multiple applications, amongst which can be Excel or a specific bookkeeping system. And you combine all these applications into one landscape to form your ERP layer. However, there's also the best of suite approach, which is an all-in-one, which is Agriware Business Central. It provides the ERP layer all in one system. So the benefits are that integration is under one roof, and the cost of ownership is lower. So you as a customer don't have to manage all these integrations between the systems yourself, with all these kinds of consequences. So today we're going to see a system that's within the best of suite principle. And how do we solve this with our Agriware software? In the bottom left corner, we see the Agriware 365 Business Central application, which basically is what you see behind your desktop. This is a web client, web-based application, and it's mainly for your office personnel to do administration and planning. And as an extension, we have the operations platform, which is basically the app platform to take Agriware to the field, to your greenhouse, and keep ad hoc or plant registration, actuals registration, simple for your greenhouse workers. And with these ad hoc registrations, it's communicated back to the office, to Agriware 365. And when all the data is in your database, you can, at the top, analyze it via Agriware Analytics. And Agriware Analytics can talk to your climate systems, which could be Priva or Hogendoorn, and we have standard connections with them. This is where your management information comes from. This is where all the hard work pays off, and your registrations turn into information, and you can make conclusions, make business decisions to improve your processes and your business, and be more efficient, be more effective, get your quality up. And that's the triangle that we try to aim for under one roof with one system. Today I want to talk to you about labor, and later we will see the time registration presented by Aoxiang. But first we need to understand one concept. It's the job concept. And the job concept within Agriware is very important because it's the heart of the production module. Basically, there are 4 modules. It's finance, sales, production, and purchasing. And today we're going to discuss labor. So we need to understand where does the labor demand come from, and where does the costing come from, and where do the actuals registration end up. And this is all back to the job concept. And a job is it has a start and a finish, and you can compare it with building a house, for example. You have certain phases, you have activities that you need to perform to finish your house, to finish your plant growing, and they need materials and labor for it. So we have multiple phases in growing a plant. These can be configured by you during an implementation. In this case, I chose for nursery, potting, and then delivering. And there is input needed, and it will eventually also output material, which will go to stock, which you can sell or put in another job. And to get to a job concept like this in Agriware, we have templates, so you don't have to do it for every job manually, and this can be an automated process. But this basic concept will come back later in the presentation a few times. Then we go to production planning. There are multiple ways of getting the production module started. We can start in a production forecast, more on that later. But where you make scenario planning forward or backward, and you say in this case, an Anthurium white lightning in week 50, we're going to produce 6,000 plants. Agriware knows based on setup how the job should look like, and the job is initiated, and your labor will be planned, your area will be planned, your materials will be demanded or required, and this will start up your job. We can also start in a production plan or from a sales order or purchase order. So the starting point can be very flexible, but the concept is the production module has to start from somewhere to create the job that we just discussed. And what if the job is created? Let's make the translation to labor, which we are here today. This is a part of such a job. To keep it very simple, we think about the house that we're going to build. We have some production phases, in this case, the young plant stage, and then growing, and then eventually an inventory phase. And within that phasing, on different dates, we need to perform different activities, such as sowing, germination count, moving, spacing, apply treatment, and eventually report availability. And per activity, we set up labor standards. In this case, 600 per hour, 750 per hour, which in combination with the number of plants will result in a number of hours to spend on that date for your work. And this will be the input for your labor planning pages, and also be the input for actuals registration and the app platform that we saw in an earlier slide. So now we have a job and we have planned labor, but normally we don't have one job, we have multiple jobs. And when we have multiple jobs, our production plan is translated into an activity planning for all these kind of jobs that we create. Can be different genera, can be different items, can be different starting times, can be different quantities. And Agriware will combine all the labor demand that these jobs are screaming for. Please give me labor, then something will be executed. And we put that labor demand in a page within Agriware. So in this case, we need production labor on the 14th of December 23 for less than an hour, but during the days, it will rise to higher numbers, and you can plan your labor to an earlier or a later day. And this is one screen, but there are multiple with different perspectives to give you insight in when you need which labor demand. Then labor will also come back into your production control. And the production control basically is the screen that you use once per week for your work preparation. So basically on a Thursday afternoon, you, as a production foreman, you sit down, you filter out your activities for your current week, which is week 28 in this case, and you let the system provide you with the information that you need. What do I have to do next week? And maybe if on a Thursday afternoon you sit and you feel like that you have some time left in this week, you look at next week and you pull forward some items, some activities. Or when you're a bit stressed and you simply run out of time, you push some activities to next week. And from here, you will also create the work order, which is a request to the greenhouse floor workers to actually perform this work. Because planning is all well and good, but eventually the work has to be carried out. And that we do by creating a work order, which can be sent to the app. And in the app, you can let someone execute the task and see whether the planning will become realized and will become actuals. In this case, we ask for 800 pieces to be done on a specific position, and there's also some black trays needed, and you can register more or less And your actuals can deviate from your planning, of course. And if you do so, then your planning will be adjusted in your ERP system. And by adjusting your planning, the labor demand for the other activities, the following activities, can change. So it's a dynamic and circular way of combining planning with actuals and making the loop. If we have registered all those actuals, we also had in the triangle we've seen earlier before, the analytics part. And if we did all the effort and we put all the effort in to register actuals and to have a planning, we can make dashboards. And this is your management information. This is where you steer your company on. And you can see, can we do better? How did we do? And what can we expect? And this is an example of such a Power BI report, which is a tool to present the information to you. And this can be presented in all kinds of ways. And there is an analytics platform that will help you subtract the data. And there are some standard dashboards, but you can also create your own dashboards and provide the insights for management decisions on every level within your company that you would need. So here's another dashboard. So you can pick whatever view you like and set it up with your own filters, such as this one as well. So remember, there are different ways of transforming data to information, and how it fits your business will be different for every one of you. Now I want to discuss how we plan. It's the P from within ERP. It's enterprise resource planning, and the P is where ERP comes into its strength. The longer you plan your production year ahead, the more effective and efficient you can plan, and the more effort you can put in during your season and the peak part of your season into the critical issues, the ones that you couldn't foresee. We started ideally we start with a sales forecast in the top right corner, and we let sales forecast the expected market demand. And if sales has a look at the market demand and you have a very good insight in what your market needs, you can forecast this and provide this information as demand in an item availability page. More on that later. And then you can get your production manager to create production forecasts and make scenario planning. What if I do this scenario for next year? What if I do this scenario for the coming period? And you can let these worlds meet in a supply and demand page, where you see whether the quantities that come out of your production facility will meet your sales forecast, which the sales department forecasted. And if these two departments within your company agree and make a fitting planning and make a fitting forecast, then you can go to your CEO and say, is there something strategical that we want to decide upon? Maybe sales expect a very high sales demand for an item that has been long running, but the CEO thinks that we should strategically make other decisions and invest in new items. Then we could raise our production forecast while the sales forecast remains the same. When we finished our production forecast and we have our scenario planning and we picked one, we can do the same thing on the purchasing, the procurement end. And because these jobs that we created, they require raw materials, but they most importantly require plant materials as well. And you can either choose to purchase them or produce them. So there are different ways of approaching this. But strategically, you need to procure these items, living or raw materials. And between every step in your process, you can place such an item availability page, but more on that later. Then after your strategical planning, we go to the tactical planning level, which is a little bit more on short term. You have your purchase orders you have your production jobs because you created your forecast, so this is how you're going to do it. And you have your sales orders, your long-term sales orders, with your sales forecast still filling in the gaps that you don't have an order for. And here your area planning and your labor planning and your procurement comes in. Based on this plan, you can plan your year, and when things change because sales was a bit better or a bit worse than you expected, you can still change your planning. Then there will be a next level, which is your operational planning level. And this is more the ad hoc level of registration and putting data in your system, managing the sales orders that come in, posting your sales shipment, creating your sales invoices and credits, hopefully not, but sometimes they come up, and posting your purchase receipts. So the goods come in, you register your work orders, your actuals, for example, inspections or crop treatments within your job. Then you finish your plants, you ship them, and what it's all about, you eventually bill your customer and put the sales invoice in and post it, and let the finance department do the chart of accounts. So this is the general setup of how ERP within under one roof works, and depending on your specific process, we can configure this in multiple ways. All right. And I promised to discuss the item availability, and the item availability page can be placed everywhere where there's supply and demand, and you can configure your own views together and say, in this view, I want to see what will come out of my job, combined with my item inventory, what do I have on stock already, versus the demand for my sales orders. And you can let Agriware show that over time. Will I have enough in the future, or do I have to change things to make sure I won't have troubles or problems in the future when it comes to availability? And these views can be created in the strategical level, in the technical level, and in the operational level. On the strategical level, it will be more long-term. For example, do I have enough cuttings from my mother plants to supply the demand for my production jobs? Or do I have enough output for my production jobs to supply my customers based on my sales forecast or my sales orders? And maybe last minute, do I have enough for next week to ship what I promised, or do I need to extend my sales order a little bit? So these views are vital to combine the different aspects of your process and see on time if you should act. And these views are first planning and then later updated with actuals registration. So if you make with the Greenhouse app or the app platform it in such a way that the people on the greenhouse floor register what the actuals are in practice, then your system will be a mirror of your business, and you can go to very efficient and effective decision making. And that's what it's all about. Eventually, when you register all these work orders and inspections and crop treatments and labor and time, which we will see later on, it will all relate back to your jobs. And that's very important for cost pricing. And cost pricing of your job, remember, building the house is not only the labor, it's also the materials, it's also the indirect costs, such as heating and electricity and overhead. And during building that house or growing your plants, you want to see how far am I along? What is my work in progress cost calculation? And all these things you can see per job, but of course you can also accumulate multiple jobs for the same item. So once per year or twice per year or even more than that, you can you make your cost price calculation. Am I still on the right sales margin? First, you have a planning for your job. That is very important for making budgets for next year. And then you register your actuals, and you see that you had less labor time, and you had almost the same material cost, a little bit less labor cost, which is nice. And per topic, you can see your planning versus actuals. And later, the time registration will also come back to this one. So everything comes back to the heart, which is the job of your production module.
All right, thank you, Tom. If there are any questions, just pop them in the chat. You can leave them in the chat. So we want to move on with time registration. Aoxiang takes the floor.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Aoxiang. From now on, I will introduce you through time registration functionality in Agriware, that's in the PC side, and also with a mobile app called Time App. The schedule in my section is first we'll go through why we need Time App, and second is what materials we need as a company to let us to be able to use Time App. The third one we'll go through live scenarios when you use a Time App to register your attendance and so your activities during the production. And number 4 and 5 is two important functionality of the Time App. The first one is called attendance registration. The second one is called a labor registration. We'll go deeper later in other different slides. And after we register our time during the working day, it will come to number 6. We'll got the daily time sheet from which person has done what activity. And over a week, you will got a summary, which is called a weekly timesheet. And after we register the weekly timesheet, we want to know, okay, what are more possibilities? It will be explained in the number 8, next steps. And finally, we got a short summary about this section. Let's have a look. How does the app look like? So here you can see a general overview about our apps page. You can see that on the left side, you start a day, you end your day, start a break, and a break. And on the left side, there's also how we can use a laptop. We just put a laptop or the tablet on the wall where you can just tag in and tag out, register the time. So first, why we need a Time App? As what Tom mentioned, the benefits of Time App or the time registration functionality in Agriware is mainly to reduce our labor cost, because labor cost is in the production is a pretty main part of the cost. There are mainly two modes we want to introduce. The first one is called attendance registration, where you can clock in and clock out with the actual attendance and breaks. So which means I come to the office, I tag in, and if I take a break, I tag in. If I leave the office, I tag out. And second, which is indicated with a star, which means optional features that we can add automatic breaks, which means you can set up automatic breaks for your staff. And also we have rounding rules. Rounding rules basically means if you come at office at 7:03, you can round it up to 7 o'clock, or you can round it down to 7:15. Depends on your registration system. Second mode is a highlight of our time registration function. It's called a labor registration. Our labor registration can also register for activity level, for example, for weeding or for sowing, etc. It can be linked to a production jobs or not. A job different definition has been explained just now by Tom. And also the second block, you can see here, another optional features is we can also add something called product group. Product group is more like an etiquette you can put on this activity for specific plants. And finally, the last advantages is they have strong data integration. After we register via the app, you got directly the app into Agriware, where it's possible to keep on track on how much time is registered per activity. And it can also be placed in daily timesheet and then to weekly timesheet, as we mentioned. And finally, it can integration with our job costing pricing. The pages just now Tom has shown already. Okay, let's have a look what we need to use the Time App. First of all, we need a tablet, and tablet can be hung on the wall in each section, or depends on choices. You can also give each stuff a tablet or mobile device. And we also need a tag, which is related to the person, which is called resource in Agriware. And finally, we need an NFC reader to be able to read the tag, which maps the information from the app to PC. Okay, now we start with our scenarios in the greenhouses. Imagine this is a small greenhouses, and we have entrance area, and we have a planning area, we also have a resting area, and this red, blue, and the green area means for the production area. There are 3 different sections. So the bee comes at the 3 o'clock in the morning, and okay, after he came, he tagged in here at the entrance area. Like I come, and then he starts to work in a greenhouse in the different sections. In the red area, he starts sowing, and after that, he took a break, and finally, he took a lunch break as well. And in the afternoon, he worked at the blue area for weeding, and then he, in the planning area, he registered some other activities for the materials of this week or next week. And at 5:16, he said, okay, I finished the work today. I'll just tag out from the entrance area and leave the office. And now what we can get after we register from our time app. First of all, you'll get who did this. This person is called Peter Jensen. It's an AI created person. And also when, what time. So we can see from 7:03, he already started to present already at entrance. And what he has done. They have different activity code here, like staking or reading or sewing, etc. This information is synchronized from Agriware to the app directly. And third is where he has performed this activity. You can see the location code. The location code means the location we saw just now in the picture. They have a green location, or because section is even a smaller sub-location level in Agriware. And finally, we can see also which device this person has registered this activity. You can have here device entrance or the device dining room, or some other places you can give a name by yourself. And finally, it's important we can also add a dimension called the job here that some other time registration app doesn't have. Is we can connect this activity with a job or without a job. It all depends on if you want to calculate your job cost in the future. It is suggested in a really good functionality. Okay, now let's have a look of our 2 different modes. The first mode is called attendance mode. The straightforward is you come to the office, you use your tag, you tag in, just say, welcome, Peter, have a nice day. And second one is just same similar functionality is called start a break and end a break. You walk in the dining room and then you start a break, and you can also set up automatic breaks if you doesn't want to use this functionality. It can be hide by the settings. Now we come to the number 5. It's called the labor mode. Labor mode is where you can register the working time or the labor time of the activity or of your production. So we start with the first step is to tag in to choose resource. A resource here is what we means employee. So in ERP system, in Microsoft Business Central, we call it resource. And here select this person, Peter. And secondly, we can select which location it is. We check the location A here. In this big location, you can also have 2 sub-location level, like location A section 1 and location A section 1 and row 1, for example. On the top side, I also showed you the setups pages where you can set up the default locations, which makes sense because if you put the tablets or your iPads on the wall, you normally don't need to change the locations in general. The third, we can add a production group. That's what we mentioned just now, an optional feature. The production group is something like the different plants. If I have a sowing, I want to know the sowing for which plant. I have a bamboo, I have a sorghum plants. I have also roses, for example. I want to distinguish them from my my logbook, so I can add an extra here. As on the time registration log page is where we will get after use the app. You can see here there's extra column to add your production group. And after this, we come to our last step of the labor registration mode, where you can select your activity, start your activity, and then the system will start to register the time. And after that, you can choose, or I just stopped activity, or you can even use the function 3 here to change your location. For example, I was working in a green area with cleaning up, but I keep doing the same activity from green area to red area. I don't need to stop the activity and select again. I can just keeping in this activity and click on the change location here, so I can continue this activity with no problems in the system. And now we come to our result in BC. So this page is what you will see after you use Agriware. There are 3 we call daily timesheet. You can see here there are 3 numbers. The number 1 indicates information, who has done it, and which day is 11th of March. And number 2 indicates how long this person has worked. It also indicated the break time, indicated how much time you stay in office. It's called prison time. Also, there's a working time, which excludes from your break time. And number 3 is the information of each activity role you have taken. On this column, you can also say, is it approved or not? You can choose to approve them. And after this, after 5 days work in a week, is a time to create a weekly timesheet where you can easily select the start time and the end time, and also the different groups. If I want to create only for Peter, I can select here on the filter, or I can create a resource group to create for the whole people of these groups, to everybody of the groups. Okay. And then the weekly timesheet looks similar as the daily timesheet. It has information of the person. And here, number 8 indicates your contract hours. Here's 40 hours. And the real hours of this working week for the 7.5 hours. The system will show you the difference between the hours. It shows here black because this person overworked. But if you work less, it will show in red. Because as your boss, you don't want people work less than more. And number 9, you can see each day from Monday to Friday, how long the people work per day. Okay, after this, what is the possibilities after you register the weekly timesheet? On the left side, this is the logo means for the app. We register our time, we register our location, activity, and after this information will be seamlessly synchronized to our BC. BC is the Business Central, Agriware. We can add rules here. The rules, which means rounding rules, we have introduced. And labor rules is a labor standard, which means if I overwork more than 8 hours, I will get paid extra 50%, for example. Also time for time rules. And you can also set up the automatic break rules. After the rules has been taken on, the daily timesheet will be created, and then a weekly timesheet. There's a route 1. And those times you registered also go via a job cost. What Tom has mentioned just now, that it will help you to calculate your cost of the job, your labor cost of this activity. And after that, this job cost will be registered in your chart of accounts financially. And after you got all of this registration, you have 2 options to do. You can interface with your payroll system, or you can even use analytics tool like Power BI, for example, to get a nice overview of the production cost of this year, so that next year you can plan it with a better method to save more costs. Okay, now we come to the summary. The summary, it's possible you can read yourself. Okay, I finished my parts.
So, okay. Let's move on to the next slide, and then Tom will tell you something about the implementation.
Okay.
Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, so here what we see is what we implement Agriware with you, then we had to follow a few steps first. And we follow the sure step method, which are the the squares above the timeline. And first we start with preparation phase, in which we do installation and the kickoff. Then we start with the analyzing and designing phase. When we are building a house, we can compare it with you sitting with the architect and you telling your process, this is how we work, this is how we would like it. But the architect will also challenge you for the best outcome. This is what the workshop session should do and will do. And eventually the architect will prepare a simulation one, a sim one, where the mock-up is shown and say, okay, this is what you've told me. This is what I made out of it. Maybe there are some gaps, but ideally it fits within the standard solution. And this is how it's going to look like for the chosen scenarios. One easy one and one very complex one. Then we all accept ideally on the mock-up and we say, yes, it would be very cool if we would build this together. And so we would be able to live in this house. What we next do is agree upon a solution design. This is how it's going to be built. And then we are going to build. You are going to build. Because a consultant will come in and hold training sessions with you and is going to teach you during the realization phase how Agriware works, and you will be able to put in your data, and you will also be able to handle all the exceptions. We'll do an integral test. We'll prepare a simulation too, where you present the solution, the eventually almost finished house, to the consultant that eventually presented the mock-up, but you also present it to within your own company. And then when we all approve and we all think that it's a good idea to go live, and then we prepare to go live, we do a data conversion to hit the ground running and start off where you left in your old system, whether that's pen and paper, Excel, or something different. And then in the support and optimize phase, there is after go live support. And eventually, we should all be happy with the end result. That's our implementation journey. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all for your time. And are there any questions? Please leave them in the chat or turn on your microphone. I cannot see the chat. Maybe Tom, can you see the chat?
I can see the chat, but I don't see any questions yet.
Okay, thank you all.
Oh, I think there's one question, whether we can email the recording of this presentation.
Yeah, sure, we will.